to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before the
All right, friends, welcome back. And today, let's dive into a topic that is always super popular, and that is going to be compounds that help you lose weight. Now, of course, we've seen things like clenbuterol, we've seen things like GLP-1 agonists, we've seen things like injectable carnitine. There's been no shortage of compounds, kind of in our space that have been shown to help a lot with weight loss. But each of them kind of have their own drawbacks, right? A lot of them can be cardiotoxic. Some of the GLP-1s, lead to GI distress and lead to some lethargy, making them not usable for some people. And then even something like injectable carnitine is great, but it has to be injected. But one of the biggest things that I'm super excited about on the market now that's kind of gaining traction is going to be SLU-PP-332. Now, this is going to be an estrogen related receptor agonist, and it's especially kind of strong at the estrogen related receptor alpha. So, what this compound is going to do is it's an exercise mimetic, okay, and it's also going to be very helpful in treating certain metabolic syndromes. It's being studied right now for obesity. So, in this video, guys, we're going to dive all into this compound, kind of discuss, how it works in the body, my experience with it, what you can expect from it, who's it going to be good for, who maybe is it not going to be good for, and then some great stacks and protocols you can do with this. With that being said, guys, let's dive right in. So like I was mentioning before, guys, a lot of the kind of traditional fat loss pathways that we have, right, like things like clenbuterol, have their side effects, right? Okay, so, fat burners have been notorious for coming with side effects. Now, one of the coolest things about SLU PP332 is that it works through that unique pathway, in that it's an estrogen related receptor agonist. So, in my opinion, right, this alleviates a lot of kind of the standard side effects that we've seen. Okay, when I used this, I had great effects, but I also had very minimal side effects on it. I felt really good, right? There was not that cancer risk that, right, we have with Cardarine. There wasn't that huge increase in heart rate or blood pressure that we see with things like clenbuterol or ephedrine or albuterol or things like that. There wasn't the GI distress that you'll get if you take a GLP-1 agonist. It was a very, very clean compound, and this is due to kind of its unique mechanism of action, right? The estrogen related receptor seems to be a pretty clean target when it comes to fat loss. And so that was one of the best things that I noticed from this, was that it was very minimal on the side effect profile. Now, I should, kind of make a note that it's still very new, right? And there's still tons of people who are kind of using it. So it's very possible that down the line we see more side effects associated with it. But for me, it was very minimal on the side effect profile. And compared to other fat burners, this was an amazing, amazing effect. Now, let's talk about some of the benefits that I got while using this. Now, as I mentioned before, it's an exercise mimetic. It's been shown to kind of help optimize mitochondrial function, which the mitochondria is what's going to be producing a lot of the energy, okay, that we have. So that's kind of like our main pathway, our main target when it comes to energy. So, exercise mimetic helps to optimize the mitochondria. It's been shown in studies to kind of help, obviously, help people lose weight, keep the weight off, all those things. So when I was using this, what I noticed was, number one, my energy was amazing. Okay, I felt super energized. And again, I always say, when you're targeting the mitochondria, whether it's MOTS-C, whether it's 5-amino-1-MQ, whenever you're kind of using that pathway, I always notice that my energy is just good, and it's a very natural energy, right? So if you were to take a very strong stimulant like modafinil or Adderall, it's you get tons of energy, tons of drive, but it feels very, not natural. Okay, so but with this, it's a very clean, very natural feeling energy, which is for me perfect, because I don't always want to feel super stimmed out all day, right? Even if it does work for being productive, I hate that feeling of being excessively stimmed out. So energy wise, I was great. It felt like I had slept 10 hours every night. My diet was perfect. It's just that perfect natural energy. Okay, the other thing that I did notice from it was my muscular endurance and my overall endurance went up significantly. Okay, so in the gym, right? Where I was doing maybe, reps of, 8 to 10 with a certain weight. Now with SLU, I was able to do even more reps with that. Okay. So I wasn't necessarily getting stronger, but with the same weight, I could do more reps, which to me, right, is awesome, right? Any increase in muscular endurance is super helpful. And then any, kind of athletic activities I was doing, because I do like to stay active with swimming, mountain biking, playing basketball, all that stuff. I noticed that my cardiovascular performance was way better almost overnight with SLU-PP-332. Okay, so it's almost kind of like Cardarine in that sense, where it will boost your endurance, which I found to be, interesting and kind of surprising, right? I was not expecting it to boost muscular endurance in the way that it did, right? So energy, better muscular endurance, which were all great. And then kind of the obvious thing, right, that people are going to want to be using it for is weight loss. Now, I did notice it helped with weight loss, and what a lot of my followers have been telling me who have been using it, for longer periods of time, right, like 2 or 3 months. I've been on it for a few weeks at this point. Have said that basically they've noticed that they can kind of maintain their same lifestyle. Add in the SLU, and that they notice that their weight starts to drop pretty dramatically. For me so far, I have noticed an increase in weight loss on it. It hasn't been anything super, super crazy, but I would say maybe an extra, quarter to half pound per week since I've hopped on it. Now, part of that I do think is due to me having more energy and me being able to do more cardio, which is going to be, essential for the weight loss process. And of course, part of it is that it's going to help, resolve certain metabolic syndromes. Again, it's an exercise mimetic. So there's a lot of kind of downstream effects that it can have that are going to be super, super helpful for targeting weight loss. In the next section, guys, let's discuss some SLU PP332 protocols and kind of discuss maybe who should look into using it and who should not. So now if you're watching this and you're thinking, is SLU PP332 right for me? Is it not? I think for most people it's a pretty good option based on what we know now. Like I said, there's still kind of limited data, so I don't want to speak prematurely and some huge side effect pops up later and you say, oh, you never told us about this. But based on what I've seen right now in terms of like kind of short-term stuff, raises in blood pressure, raises in heart rate, does it cause anxiety, things like that. I've really seen no major side effects. So I think SLU PP332, as long as you're comfortable with the lack of data, can be a great potential option, for you. I think there's some really great application kind of for everyone, and its pathway through which it works through makes it pretty, not super harsh on the body. Again, from what we know now. Now, the other thing that people have asked or are asking me is, hey, what can you stack with SLU PP332? I think it's actually best when it's stacked with other stuff. That's where I think it shines. And there's been other people who have made tons of videos on this and what they've stacked it with. I've seen, I think Dean St. Mart made a video with Vigor Steve where they talked about methylene blue, 5-amino-1-MQ, MOTS-C, which are also two kind of working on that mitochondrial pathway and stacking that with the SLU. And what I will say about those stacks, because I've tried those stacks too, is that they are spot on. Those stacks are amazing. When your mitochondrial health, when you're working through kind of that pathway and your mitochondria is super optimized, you will notice very, very quickly that you feel much better, right? Put all the weight loss stuff aside. Mentally, you feel better. Your mood is better. Your energy is better. You just feel better, right? You feel energized, you feel healthy. That's why I think the mitochondrial kind of pathway is going to be an amazing future pathway to target. So, in terms of things to stack with it, what do I think is great? Like I just mentioned, other mitochondrial boosters. Okay, so things like MOTS-C is great. Things like there's one called SS31, I believe. I might have said that wrong. That's another great peptide that also is going to boost mitochondrial function. Things like 5-amino-1-MQ, methylene blue, awesome with it. I've also noticed, Cardarine is super synergistic with it. SR9009, super synergistic with it. Even ITPP, which I'll make more content on that, has been super synergistic with it. So really, any compound that can kind of boost either endurance, like the muscular endurance, so things like Cardarine or ITPP, or things that boost mitochondrial function, stack super, super well with this. It's super flexible, again, due to its mechanism of action, so it can kind of fit into any and every weight loss or energy stack that you have. In the final section, guys, I'll kind of discuss what my researcher was dosing with and what the dosing protocol kind of looked like, because I know a lot of people are going to be curious on that as well. So we'll get into that and then we'll wrap up the video. Now, for me, like I tell everyone with every single compound, start low and work your way up slowly. Okay. So, when I'm going to tell you this dosing protocol, don't just start with this right off the bat. For context, I'm about 196 right now. I'm a male. So, if you're, way lighter, if you're way heavier, that might change how you do the dosing. Now, I've had friends who have taken a lot of this compound and they have not noticed negative side effects even at super super high doses. At like 1,000 micrograms, they've noticed nothing really super negative. So keep that in mind as well. But again, if you're new to the compound, start low. Don't add in other stuff until you know how you respond, because there's always certain people who don't respond well to certain compounds. Okay, so my dosing protocol was I did 200 micrograms before fasted cardio and another 200 micrograms before the gym. Okay. Now, the thought process on this dosing protocol, and you could and I've tried to doing 300. That also worked really well. So the thought process on this dosing protocol is that number one, I love the benefits of it before fasted cardio. You get a little bit extra weight loss from your fasted cardio, and then you also get the better muscular endurance. So it's going to make your fasted cardio overall just better. And then before my workout, because I noticed, like I said, it gives a way better boost in muscular endurance. So I was having much better workouts while on it. And I also liked the boost in energy. So that was kind of how I was dosing it. I would dose it essentially pre-fasted cardio and then before my workout. And that's kind of where I cut it off. Okay. I have dosed it before bed. I didn't notice any insomnia or kind of sleeplessness before taking it. It will make your body a bit warmer. So obviously, the warmer we are, when we're trying to sleep, that can interfere with sleep. So I would keep an eye out for that. But I didn't notice that it's like so stimulatory that it caused me to stay up all night for the most part. So it was fine there. But I would say, like I said, I liked it before fasted cardio and I liked it before my workout. So I'd say anywhere in the range of 100 to 300 micrograms, twice per day is probably a pretty good starting point for your dosing. Again, if you want to push it higher, by all means, but I'm not recommending that you do it. Now, two of my sources are going to be offering SLU-PP-332. The first one's going to be Modern Aminos, which I'm sure will flash up somewhere. That's going to be the capsule version. And then we're also going to have Amino Asylums, which is the liquid version. Both are great. I've tried both. They work super, super well. I think Modern Aminos is working on some third-party testing right now for theirs. I'm not sure Amino Asylum, their products are always of high quality though. But those are the two options. You can use code BIOHACK at checkout to save. Support the channel. With that being said, guys, I hope this was informative and helpful. Thank you guys. Take care and have a good one.
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated.